What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Tattoo Wheels. Today's video is brought to you in part by HPR Power Sports. HPR Power Sports is now an official SSR and Benelli dealer. So today's series is first ride, and it's going to be the Benelli TNT 600. This is a sport naked touring bike. It has a neutral seating position. It's just like the Ninja 650 and the Z9 or the Z650. These are very comparable bikes. As a matter of fact, they have the exact same type of horsepower, but these bikes, the Benelli 600s, are about $1,000 to $1,500 cheaper than the Kawasaki counterparts. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a Benelli 600, but today we're going to do a first ride review. Give you a little bit of info about the motorcycle itself. It's an inline 4 with a dual overhead cam. And one of the things I really like about this 600 is the neutral seating position where it's real comfortable, so I could see myself riding this thing for a long period of time. It's got enough horsepower to know that you're riding a 600, but not so overly to where it's not made for beginners. I would say this would be a perfect beginner bike for anyone trying to get into the 600cc class, somewhere in that range. 67 horsepower, it may not sound like a lot, but if you compare it to another comparable bike, the MT-07 only has 74 horse, so there you go. However, on the Benelli, the low-end torque is a little bit off. It's not as torquey as I would like it to be, but I'm pretty impressed with it. Benelli's been in business since 1911. They've got a lot of history. I know a lot of you have heard of Benelli shotguns. Well, same company. Italian styling for a great price, affordable. MSRP on this bike is $5,999. And it's available at HPR Power Sports. They have the Benelli 600, the Benelli 300. They've got the Buccaneer Cafe, which is a 250. They got the Rascal 125, which is comparable to the Honda Grom. We'll get to those videos soon, but today we're going to ride the 600. The styling of this motorcycle is great. It's got the dual pipe undertail. I think the dual pipe undertail is probably one of the coolest features of the bike. It has a pretty good sound to it. I'm going to fire it up here in just a second. We're going to take it down the road and see what she can do. Has a dual display here. You got an analog tack and then the digital speedometer. Turn that on. Go ahead and it engages. You got all your check engine lights, your neutral, all your turn signals. You got your fuel gauge. You got your miles per hour, of course, and then your mileage, temperatures, so on and so forth. The only thing it does not have a gear indicator, so you have to know where you're at in the gears. So let's fire this thing up, shall we? She's got a pretty good sound stock. I can imagine what she'd sound like with an exhaust. But let's take her down the road. Now, as I was saying earlier, where I was kind of complaining about the low-end torque, it does have some low-end torque. It's just not as much as I thought it would have for a 600 class, but it's there. I mean, it can get up and go. very comfortable though. I have to give it that. It's got a pretty good balancing lean angle. It feels really good. You feel right at home on this bike as soon as you start, you know, getting into the curves. I chose this road because it's got a lot of good little sweeping curves. It's got some a little bit tighter curves here, so we can kind of get a feel for it. You know, for the little bit that I've been riding this Benelli 600, I am pretty impressed, especially for the price point. I can't state it enough. You're talking an under $6,000 bike right here. It's a 600cc class, and it's got the same type of horsepower as a Ninja 650, the Z650, any of those in that same class, and it's priced well below them. So under $6,000 gets you in a brand new 600 class motorcycle. It's a naked touring, so you got a neutral sitting position, so it's comfortable, it's versatile, and it won't break your bank account. And man, this thing handles pretty well, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna pass this car here in a minute. And I'll be 100% disclosure, I have never ridden a Benelli until I did this first ride video. So there's no bias here whatsoever, even from HBR. They wanted a 100% honest review, and that's what we're going to give them today. So they're going to get the good and the bad from me. It's very nimble for a 600. Kick back here. Man, I tell you what, this is a really good handling bike. And for this price point, man, I'll be honest, there's no beating this price point. Not in the 600 class. We're going to take it on the interstate and see how she does. So you guys got to see some curves with it. Let's see some speed. She'll scoot, boys. Now with all naked sport touring bikes, you have a lack of a windshield. So if you're on the interstate, you're going to feel a lot of the wind drag. You're going to get pushed around a lot. You're going to feel like you're being moved a lot, especially when you pass semi-trucks. That's with every single sport touring bike I've ever ridden. Now this one feels a little bit more solid, I guess. It feels a little heavier. I'm not sure the weight on this motorcycle. I did some research on it. I did not look up the weight. I'm sorry, I apologize. But I can tell you how it feels in the wind. It is a little bit heavier, so it feels a little bit more stable with a cross breeze. So that's a plus and a negative, I guess, however you want to look at that. But overall, man, I'm very impressed with this 600. Benelli definitely knows what they're doing when it comes to performance and styling. I think as far as style goes, this motorcycle, hands down, is probably best in class. To pros and cons, the top 3 things I like and the top 3 things I do not like about this motorcycle. On the top 3 things I really like the best on this motorcycle, one is the price point. You cannot beat an under $6,000 600cc naked sport at all. There's no way you can beat that. It's number 1 in its class with horsepower for the 600 at that price point. So that's probably my number 1 thing I like about it. Number 2 is the styling. The styling of the Benelli 600 is actually, I would have to say, top in its class. The style of this motorcycle is just absolutely gorgeous. And number 3 is the handling of this motorcycle. It's insanely nimble. With a lower price bike, you would think that you would, suffer somewhere along the lines when it comes to performance. And overall, I don't think they really suffered anything performance-wise on the Benelli. Now, aesthetically, maybe. Performance-wise, no, not at all. So that leads me into the top 3 things I do not like about the motorcycle. Okay, well, one of the things I do not like about the motorcycle is the bar. The bar coming across, it feels solid, but it looks cheap. It doesn't really, to me, it doesn't match the rest of the styling of the bike. It was kind of like it was an afterthought. I don't like that. I really don't. I mean, the whole bike itself is absolutely gorgeous, and then it looks like they just threw on a $20 no-name brand bar. But that's just aesthetics. It's not really anything to do with performance. It does exactly what it needs to do. So I can't really complain there and knock it there. It's just basically aesthetics of it. The number 2 is definitely the mirrors. The mirrors on this bike are not as functional as I think they should be, but I guess that's kind of my own personal preference there. Just solely based on the fact that a lot of people take mirrors off bikes altogether and put on bar ends. You could do that if you wanted to. And the last thing, con about the motorcycle itself, is probably it's not well known and received in the motorcycle community because not many people know about Benelli. And I'll be honest with you, before HBR got the contract to become the official dealer, I didn't know much about Benelli. I'd seen a few, the rides. I've seen some of the other motovloggers take these out and ride at like AIM Expo, so on and so forth. But I didn't know much about them. So I think that marketability, they could do a little bit better in the US market. As I was looking up, some pointers on this to do this video, there is absolutely no reviews on YouTube in the US. There was India, Thailand, I think Vietnam. I mean, they were all over the world, but not here in the US. So I think the US market for Benelli, it needs to increase. The marketability needs to grow, and we're hoping to do that with HBR by doing a first ride series on the Benelli 600. And I hope you guys enjoyed how we reviewed the first ride of the Benelli 600. If you want any more information, feel free to contact HBR Power Sports. I will put all the info in the description below, phone numbers, address, etc. But if you liked today's video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. If you're new and you want to see future videos, hit subscribe. But as always, you guys have a great day. I'll catch you later.